I'm doing is legal. This is why I believe I'll receive justice in the higher court.
Used to hit more to right and right center than the left. It is good! He did it! He did it!
It doesn't matter what your background is and where you come from. If you have dreams and you have goals, and that's all that really matters.
But there's only one Usain Bolt.
I owe, a lot to Charlie.
The freedom of expression that the entire world could see.
When you black, it's not a movement, it's a lifestyle. This is who we are.
If all LeBron James ever did was play basketball, that would be enough. Enough to thrill and entertain millions of fans around the world. Enough to inspire youngsters to lay down their iPads, put their phones away for a while and hit the court, dreaming of emulating the greatest rags to riches story in the history of the game. But James's contribution to society goes way beyond his on-court endeavors. As a philanthropist, as a voice against racism and inequality, he has few, if any, peers. LeBron Ramon James was born in Akron, Ohio, to a 16-year-old single mother, Gloria. His father was said to have an extensive criminal record and played no part in his upbringing. When he was 2, his grandmother died, leaving Gloria to raise James as well as her 2 brothers. With little money to pay the rent, they moved from apartment to apartment. In grade 4, he missed more than 80 days of school. I saw drugs, guns, killings. It was crazy, James told Sports Illustrated. But my mom kept food in my mouth and clothes on my back. His could easily have become a tragic tale of lost opportunity. But Gloria James knew enough to let her son move out to the home of his local junior football coach until she was back on her feet. That coach also introduced him to basketball. By his early teens, Nike and Adidas were fighting over his signature. By 16, he was a 6'6" boy mountain and invited to train with his hero, Michael Jordan.
Yo, I guess it's all eyes on me. 1.
At 18, Sports Illustrated put him on the front cover under the headline, "The Chosen One." And 4 months later, Gloria was a proud mother watching his home state Cleveland Cavaliers select him #1 in the 2003 NBA draft. That night and thereafter, James viewed the hangers-on and opportunists with suspicion, never once forgetting the hardships of his upbringing and the person who had always been in his corner. His love for his mother, his wife, and children is at the core of his social conscience.
You just look at the history of, of America and the disrespect that black women has gotten all for the last 400 years. You can't turn a blind eye to that. When I look at my household and seeing, my daughter who's 5 on her way to 6, my wife, my mom, rest in peace, my grandmother, and so many black women that's done so many things for me, and seeing the sacrifices that they made, especially my mom when I was growing up. There was still disrespect along that way, and it's still like that today.
Up next, the rising of LeBron James. In 2009, Lionsgate released a LeBron James documentary entitled More Than a Game. But it wasn't about his NBA career, then just 6 seasons old. It was about James and his St. Vincent St. Mary High School team, dubbed the Fighting Irish. 5 boys in 2003 bidding for a 3rd Ohio State basketball title. Yeah, they won that, by the way. That director Chris Bellman was given access to the team for a documentary on the season indicates just how big James was as a teenage celebrity. And it has provided a permanent reminder of the hype and his humble upbringing.
LeBron was still in diapers, going on 2 years old, on the Little Tykes basketball hoop. From then on, he had to have it at the highest height. And he was dunking on it then.
James and the other key members of the team, Drew Joyce, Romeo Travis, Sion Cotton, and Willie McGee, remain lifelong friends. His school days, a memory he savors.
The rival games, sitting in classroom every day, and you can't wait till that 7:30 tip-off of a high school varsity basketball game. Absolutely, you miss those days.
At the time of that interview, James had just won his first MVP with the Cavs, but was still to reach the astronomical heights that would come with his shift to Miami, his triumphant return to Cleveland, and then his move to Los Angeles. Now, the only man to win NBA championships and finals MVPs with 3 clubs, he has built a life and a diverse financial empire unimaginable in his childhood. But having grown up amidst the worst aspects of society, before learning the value of education and security, it's his beginnings which still define him. That's clear from his regular commentary on issues like police brutality and inequality, but also through his actions with the LeBron James Family Foundation. The foundation was formed in 2005 to raise money for various charities. In 2011, ironically in his first season away from Cleveland with the Miami Heat, the foundation launched the initiative I Promise, specifically to assist underprivileged and at-risk children in his childhood community in Akron. And with his return to Cleveland after 4 seasons in Miami, James began working even more closely with local schools.
I'ma do what makes my city and my state happy, and that's why I came back. I love you, I'm back.
In his final season with Cleveland the second time around, James reached an agreement with the Akron School Board to expand the I Promise initiative into a school of its own. Opening in 2018, just after he crossed to the LA Lakers.
As a kid growing up in the inner city, and me specifically growing up here in Akron, Ohio, being underprivileged and feeling that you could become a statistic, by me being able to put something like this together, I want people to know that these kids should still have the same opportunity as everyone else. And that's what's most important.
James included his mother, Gloria, in the opening ceremony.
No matter If I'm playing in Los Angeles or not, Akron, Ohio is always home for me, always. So, Mom, I think it's time to raise the I Promise flag. It's on you, Mother. So, thank you so much, guys. You guys are unbelievable.
The foundation's contribution to the running of the school and other charities runs into the millions of dollars each year.
Awesome!
Unlike most of the superstars of sport before him, James has always been unafraid to take a stand on politics and other issues of division.
Brad said it's real casual, so.
He was a strong supporter of Barack Obama and an active campaigner for Hillary Clinton in 2016. When the Democrats lost that one, it signaled the start of a 4-year war with the man he had seemed so suspicious of back on draft night. It's not everyone who can call the President of the United States a bum and get away with it. He might not be bigger than basketball, but the issues he fights for are. James, the social campaigner, up next. LeBron James supported Joe Biden in 2020. But his biggest contribution to the campaign was his constant urging for people to vote, no matter who they voted for. For Time magazine, the decision to name him Athlete of the Year for 2020 was as much for his off-court influence as his title-winning efforts with the Lakers.
Specifically this year, with his More Than a Vote organization, he engaged directly in the democratic process, registering tons of people to vote, tens of thousands of volunteers to work at the polls, and he used his leverage to persuade the NBA's billionaire owners to convert many of the stadiums and arenas into polling places, enabling more people to vote safely while social distancing. I think it is not an overstatement to say that he had a direct impact on the presidential election.
Politics aside, it is his social commentary which has made James a community hero, especially in relation to the Black Lives Matter groundswell of protests against racism and police brutality.
A lot of people kind of use this analogy talking about Black Lives Matter as a movement. It's not a movement. When you're black, it's not a movement. It's a lifestyle. we sit here and say it's a movement, and okay, how long is this movement gonna last? Don't stop the movement. No, this is a walk of life. When you wake up and you black, that is what it is. It shouldn't be a movement. It should be a lifestyle. This is who we are.
His views have made him unpopular with right-wing Americans, and he's been a victim of racist attacks. In 2017, his home was daubed with racist graffiti on the eve of the NBA Finals.
No matter how much money you have, no matter how famous you are, no matter how many people admire you, being black in America is tough, and we got a long way to go. For us as a society and for us as African Americans until we feel equal in America.
Neither that nor any of the racist abuse he has received on social media has stopped his campaign for equality. And he was unconcerned when extreme right-wing TV host Laura Ingraham told him to shut up and dribble.
I have this platform, and I'm somebody that has a voice of command, and the only way for us to be able to get better as a society and us to get better as people is love.
There's probably been only one instance when that voice of command has seemed intimidated. A time when LeBron James was overawed and wide-eyed. It was after his first NBA championship with Miami. His first invitation to the White House, revealing much about his appreciation of how far he has come from the streets of Akron to his preeminent place in world sport.
Am I supposed to say something? Hey, you can if you want. It's your world, man. Say something? I mean, on behalf of myself and my teammates, we just want to thank you. To piggyback what Spo said, for the hospitality, for allowing us to be, in the White House. We're in the White House. And Coach said, Brad said it's real casual, so, we kids from Chicago and Dallas, Texas, and Michigan and Ohio and South Dakota, Miami. And we're in the White House right now. This is like, hey, Mama, I made it.
Before Gabby Douglas in 2012, before the incomparable Simone Biles in 2016, there was Dominique Dawes. A member of USA's so-called Magnificent Seven in the women's team event in Atlanta, 1996. Dawes was the first black gymnast to win an Olympic gold medal. And with bronze in 1992 and 2000, she was also the first USA gymnast to medal at 3 games. A generation later, Douglas was a star of London, winning the all-around gold medal plus the team gold with the so-called Fierce Five.
I was one of those people sitting in the stands bawling in tears and so thrilled for what that young girl was doing and the level of impact and influence that she was going to have on future generations.
Now the mother of 4, Dawes is inspiring a new wave of gymnasts. As executive producer of a television series, which looked at 5 gymnasts battling to win a place on the USA team for the Tokyo Olympics. Many of the issues raised in Golden, the journey of USA's elite gymnasts, made the series even more relevant after the Games, following the dramatic withdrawal in Tokyo by Simone Biles. The series was produced by Dawes in partnership with LeBron James' company, Uninterrupted, and brought back bittersweet memories for her.
I distanced myself from the sport when I retired in 2000 after my 3rd Olympic Games because I knew all too well the ugly side of the sport of gymnastics.
After her retirement, Dawes became the youngest ever president of the Women's Sport Federation and has served on numerous boards. In 2010, President Barack Obama appointed her co-chair of the President's Council on Fitness, Sports, and Nutrition. And when she became a mother, she started her own gymnastics academy in Maryland.
I really started my own gymnastics academy because I vowed that my kids will not go through what I went through in the sport of gymnastics. I love the sport. It's a beautiful sport. It's something I'm passionate about. But there is an ugly side of the sport where it is too much of a physical, emotional, and social sacrifice.
With his singular athleticism and incredible earning potential, Tiger Woods put golfers alongside athletes like Michael Jordan and Pele. The most tour wins and career earnings in PGA history, and the only player to win all 4 major championships in a row, Eldrick Woods was simply the greatest golfer the world had ever seen. Fellow golfing legend Gary Player summed it up perfectly.
There's nobody playing today that plays anywhere near as well as Tiger did in his prime.
But they burst like bombs on an opponent.
It's often forgotten that more than 110 years ago in boxing, long before the WBA, WBO, WBC, and IBC alphabet confusion, there were two heavyweight champions at the same time. There was the recognized heavyweight champion like James J. Jeffries or his successor, Tommy Burns. And there was the colored heavyweight champion like Jack Johnson. This is the smiling face of Jack Johnson, boxing's first black world heavyweight champion. Johnson showed the world how ridiculous and offensive the color line in sport was. And here he is in the ring, defending that title against Stanley Ketchel, in one of the few pieces of vision surviving from an era where racism in sport was at its most toxic. Johnson became the colored heavyweight champion in 1903. But the reigning world heavyweight champion, James J. Jeffries, would not fight him and retired undefeated in 1905. The title briefly going to Marvin Hart and then Tommy Burns. Johnson defended his colored title 17 times amongst dozens of other non-title fights until Burns could no longer turn down the riches offered to give him a crack at the title. The fight took place in Sydney, Australia on December 26, 1908. It soon became apparent why previous champions had been so scared to fight the man known as the Galveston Giant. Even if he only stood 184 centimeters, a fraction over 6 foot. Famed novelist and journalist Jack London reported the fight for a number of American papers. As Johnson hammered the shorter Burns until police stopped the fight in the 14th round. Cameras recording the fight were turned off, so the sight of Johnson's arm being raised as champion could not be seen. And a torrent of racism was highlighted by the call for Jeffries to come out of retirement as the first great white hope. Jeffries must emerge from his alfalfa farm and remove that smile from Johnson's face. "Jeff, it's up to you," wrote London. Jeffries did come back. Their 1910 clash billed the fight of the century, but Johnson's smile prevailed. Another comprehensive thrashing by TKO in the 15th round. The former champ forced to admit, "I could never have whipped Johnson at my best." Eventually, it would be racism which brought Johnson down. In 1913, while still world champion, he was convicted for transporting a woman across state lines for immoral purposes. Sentenced to a year's jail, he fled in exile, defending his title in France and Argentina, before losing to Jess Willard in Cuba in 1915. He would eventually return to the U.S. and served his time before continuing as fighters do to fight beyond his prime. But Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, and countless other fighters down the years would say they were inspired by Johnson's courage in removing the color line. And that has to be something worth smiling about.